Good afternoon. It's Sunday. I already went to church and everything, and I was going to go to the gym and do arms, but I'm being held hostage right now. So, um, once she lets me free, I'll head out to the gym, make my pre workout, head out to the gym in a little bit. Probably just the fitness center because I don't feel like driving around a lot today. It's been a hectic week, so today might be a good day to relax. I might still go out and do something. Why not? But once my captor has set me free, I am going to head out to the fitness center, chug my pre-workout, and we're going to get some reps in. I'll catch you guys there. So let's talk about something a little more fun before we talk about the more serious topic at the end of the day. And that fun topic is junk food. Yes, I know, I shouldn't be talking about junk food on a fitness channel, but I like having fun every now and again. When it comes to sweet treats and things like that, my favorite one is probably Reese's, which is one of the most generic options imaginable, but it just tastes so good. And whenever I go to the grocery store, I try to find the protein bars that have the peanut butter chocolate taste, which obviously doesn't completely taste like a Reese's, but you know what? It's close enough and it does satisfy that sweet tooth that I do have, which is hard to break, by the way. Not just that, I also really enjoy honey buns. I like adding peanut butter on top because, God forbid, I don't have a little bit of calorie control when I'm actually trying to snack on something more sweet as opposed to, protein bars, things like that. But then again, I pretty much add peanut butter onto everything. So peanut butter on top of a honey bun is probably the most rational thing I've put peanut butter on before. Don't look too deeply into that. This one is more just to get my stomach a little bit full, and that's popcorn. I try not to add too much butter unless there's butter already on it, which most forms of popcorn have. It is just more of a guilty pleasure than anything, and it is just like a quick thing to snack on just so that way my stomach can feel a little bit full. Oddly enough, I never really eat it at the movies, even though when my friend and I saw The Toxic Avenger, we ate it then. But I normally just eat popcorn whenever I'm just in need of a snack because it's pretty cheap and quick to eat and make, or vice versa. And another part of junk food is pop, or some people call it soda. I'm not really that big of a fan of pop in general. If I do have it, I'll have a sugar-free version, and even then, it's every now and again. It's not too often. And I know it brings my friends piss to a boil when I tell them I add Diet Cola to my coffee sometimes. I haven't done that in a while, but that was the thing, just to get a bit more caffeine in the morning, or not even the morning. That's more of a midday thing, not so much an AM thing, if I'm going to be honest. But when I'm not adding Diet Pop to my coffee, my favorite versions are probably Dr. Pepper, cherry colas in general, because I just think that's a perfect flavor. Mountain Dew, because I'm a gamer, and Mountain Dew Code Red too, but there's not really a sugar-free version of that, at least none that I've seen. I do love those Olipop beverages too. Those taste great. And back home from the fitness center, I'm not going to keep wearing this shirt because this is more of a work shirt because it has a big stain on it. And if I'm going to get anything messy, it's not going to be on the day that I'm going to take off. I'm actually going to shower after this. I just wanted to change shirt to record this video. But church was good today, and so was the gym. We actually had a guest speaker at the church, or not guest speaker, guest pastor, because our pastor is currently on vacation. So I'm happy he's taking some time to himself. He's a really hard worker, and
some good fucking food.
The lady who did today's sermon was really good too. She was very high energy, which is not really my style.
It doesn't matter!
I prefer more, down to earth, just conversing about the word of Christ. That's my thing. But it's nice to have a different outlook and change of pace when it comes to sermons and service, if you know what I mean. So having someone with a different take on pastoring was really cool to experience. I'm considering also getting my hair cut today. And my church actually gave me new pants because this really happened to me. Check this out.
I bought a pair of pants, right? Finally could find one of my waist size, because a lot of guys' waist sizes are actually a lot bigger. I have a very small waist. What are the things to complain about? But so I went and I bought these new pair of jeans. As soon as I put them on today, I didn't, and like when I say the button snapped off, I didn't put it on and then the button snapped off. I was pulling the button to loop it in to that hole, whatever is it called, looping it in? But you know what I mean. But I was looping it in, button popped right off. Brand new jeans, had to return them that moment. So I was so annoyed that I returned them immediately before I even went to church. And I told my dad, I was like, hey, yeah, my jeans got busted as soon as I bought them. And he's like, oh, the church has some jeans downstairs if you want to take some. I was like, okay, cool, thank you. I really appreciated that. I will say, though, it was nice that the jeans weren't that expensive. They were only like $25. And I lost my receipt because I paid cash. So I was happy that they were absolutely willing to take the jeans back and give my money back still. So that was good. Anyway, I gotta drink my protein shake before I shower. And they actually had these on sale at the grocery store, which was really cool. Let me show you real quick. So the grocery store is actually trying to get rid of these. So they had them on sale for $5 a pack. So I figured, why not stock up on them while they're this cheap? Because you know these things are normally around $10 a pop. And it's nice to have just a bunch of options for something I can drink post-workout. Now the coffee ones I actually use now as my morning coffee. And I don't know if I can't find anything about this Atkin one here. It says it has steady energy. And I don't know if that means it has caffeine in it or not. But if it does, I really don't notice any difference in my energy levels when I drink it. Maybe it's just a really small amount. And what I'm sad about is this one, the one I'm actually drinking now, is discontinued, and it is actually a really good flavor. So it's a damn shame they're getting rid of that. But like I said, I wanted to stock up on them while they were on such a good sale. Basically half off, it's like $4.50 for a pack of them. And they all taste pretty good. The coffee ones obviously taste like coffee. And this banana chocolate one is actually surprisingly really good. This one's my favorite. I know it's not Atkins, but it is a darn shame they are discontinuing that flavor. At least not carrying it in the store anymore. But outside of that, I gotta go take a shower. I'll catch you guys in a little bit. Okay, I'm all cleaned up now, out of the shower, and probably debating what I want to do for the rest of the day. One part of me wants to just stay home so I can play Claire Obscure the rest of the night, but the other part of me wants to go out and just kind of drive around a little bit. Maybe, I don't know, I got new jeans, by the way. You can't really see them. Like I said, my church gifted them to me, so I'm happy about that. And they fit really well. I'm still wearing a belt with them, but it's not as required as the other pair of jeans I had. The other pairs of jeans I had were like sticking out, and that's why I was really upset about the jeans I got the other day, and it broke literally today. Or I got them yesterday, and then they broke literally today. So, yeah, we're gonna figure out, I think we're gonna chug the rest of this just so I can get rid of the water and put this in the recycling bin. Run to the store and get another gallon of purified water because that's a little bit better for you, I think. And tomorrow I might get my hair trimmed because I want to do something with it. I want to do a thing where I can kind of like crunch it up around like the side here. I want the bangs a little bit up higher. And I think once I get that properly cut up, the blonde little streak I had would be gone. But we'll see. I like this look a little bit, but normally it's after I sleep with the hair, I can do a little bit more with it the next day because it feels like it's a little bit more poofy. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna go out to the store real quick, grab some food maybe. Like I said, I gotta get a gallon of water anyway. point, gotta get some apples. Come home, do my mobility drills, and then, I don't know, call it a night. My roommate, he's out right now, so we can't hang out just yet. He's taking care of some business, it's nothing too serious. But outside of that, I got Jerky food. I have my protein shakes, which I already drank my protein shake of the day. I don't really need to worry about that. And yeah, it's all adventures for the rest of the day. I'll catch you guys later. Peace. And so I am back home from the grocery store, and I'm going to do my end of day talk a little early as in 7 p.m. But I scored pretty well at the grocery store. I got some lemon water. I also got a gallon of spring water. I knew I was going to be purified, but I just went with spring this time. Got some apples, which actually went up in price, so I'm not happy about that. But it is what it is. What can you do? And so today I wanted to have a serious but still fun conversation. No, it's not me talking about meme coin or anything like that. It's me talking about some Bible lessons that we had in my young adult ministry recently. And the one I wanted to focus on is how we discussed that God is bigger and God is greater. Now, what does that mean? Well, if you've seen VeggieTales, they have the song "God is bigger than the Boogeyman." He's bigger than Godzilla or the monsters on TV. And really, when we say God is bigger, we don't necessarily mean in terms of actual like height. We're more referring to bigger than issues or worries that we can have. Because kind of coincidentally, the day before, because I don't know if my pastor actually lines things up to where small groups are supposed to be talking about. And we discussed how, this is in the sermon, mind you, he was discussing how there were two groups of followers of Christ. One group lived very fulfilling, very happy lives, and the others were basically living lives of misery and torture. Now, when it comes to talk about God is bigger and God is greater, we're talking about things like that. Where even if you are living a very exceptional life, you have to remember that God is bigger and greater than all of the stuff that you have. Kind of in similar tone to the story of Jesus and the rich man, where it's more a story about how Christ was telling this other guy, this rich man, how you do not feel fulfilled in life, so just get rid of it. And maybe that, and walk closer with God, is essentially what he was saying. And when you live a rich and fulfilling life with Christ, that means even more than your life of exceptional luxury. Now, that's not a bad thing to have a life of great luxury. That should be what all people strive for. However, there were also the people that lived very poor lives, and they still walked with God. They still walked with Christ because they knew that God and Christ were bigger and greater than their suffering they were going through, because they know that in the end, they get to meet the both of them. They get to live with them, which is greater than any form of torture someone can go through. And that's something that we have to remember, is that God gave us all free will. And sometimes our lives can just really, 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 there's an unlimited amount of reallys here, suck. It's definitely not the poultrygeist of living life, if you know what I mean. But we have to remember that just because we're suffering now doesn't mean we're going to suffer for an eternity. As people have said, we're going to be dead much longer than we are alive. So whatever suffering we're going through is temporary. And some people's suffering is definitely worse than others. I come from relative privilege, middle class, and there are people who are far, and like I get mad when I'm stuck in traffic, right? But there's people whose lives are far worse than mine, and you know what? they still follow and walk with Jesus, no matter what. So when I'm stuck in traffic or something doesn't go my way, and I start saying things like, "Oh God, how can you do this to me? I can't believe that." And then eventually the brain does click back in. You're like, "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that." But then you remember there are people who are in far worse situations, much worse. And yet they still praise God every single day. Really helps you think, really helps you reflect. And because the chapter we read in the Bible for YA Ministry was actually really short, but I said it's short but fun because really sorry, there was a really weird noise I just heard. But anyway, it again discussed further how having a cat makes life worth living, especially one that looks like this, one that looks like this, one that looks like this, one who looks like this. She is the poultrygeist of cats. But she understands, like, she might be whining and complaining that dad isn't getting her food instantly when she asks for it. But she knows that when she walks with Jesus, that it's much greater than getting her food as soon as she starts meowing like that. Of course, that's a joke, but it really puts the idea of privilege into perspective when there are people who are suffering way more than I am, but they're still walking with God. And the other thing it makes you keep in mind, that we always talk about that to keep in mind, is talking about people who suffered in certain ways, like let's say addiction or something like that. And it said something along the lines of, if eating this thing causes my friend to sin, then I must stop eating that thing. Because you don't want to think about it like this. You had a friend who struggled with alcohol, and then they got sober. Are you going to start drinking in front of them, just chugging beers like it's nothing? I would hope not. So again, it's like when we have people who are struggling with their walk with Christ, and they come to him, and then their lives start improving, they start improving themselves. Are we going to do the thing in front of them that made them drift away? No, we shouldn't. We can't be selfish like that. We have to remember that everyone's walk with Christ is going to be different. Everyone's walk with Christ is going to be kind of weird because we're all trying to figure it out, right? Even when you finally accept Christ, you're going to struggle with it because you're going to make mistakes. We all are. And of course, we have to remember that Christ said, "Now go and sin no more." But he still understood that we are on God's level. We're not on his level, not even close. He knows we're still going to make mistakes. We're still going to sin. But he wanted us. He wants us. And he strives for us to make sure that we are doing our absolute best to continue walking with God. It's similar. It's a similar conversation of, if one eye causes you to sin, plow it out. Stuff like that. For it's better to lose an eye than to spend an eternity in damnation. I can't remember the exact quote, but it's a struggle we all deal with. And part of the responsibility is on us. If we're struggling with life, things just suck, we have to remember that God is greater. And we have these temptations that we want to go for, whether it be drugs, sex, alcohol, eating a lot, sloth, all the, the deadly sins. We have to remember that God is greater than those things. And if we have someone who finally got on board with Christ, finally is walking with him, he is improving himself, we have to sacrifice some of the things we love in order to make sure that person keeps walking with God. And sometimes that can be hard for us too. And I'm not saying that you don't have to completely, like if they had an alcohol problem and you want to have a beer by yourself, that's fine. But obviously, don't bring it up around them. Keep it away from them because you don't want anyone relapsing because people relapse like that. And ultimately, stuff like that comes down to one has to want to improve themselves before they start actually improving. But we have to remember that if they want to come to Christ, we have to be encouraging. We have to take our steps to make sure we're doing the right thing to make sure that they are coming to God. And we also have to make sure of this because this is something I always want to talk about. Making sure that one's relationship with God is with God, not you, then God. Make sure that it's a straight line to Christ. Nothing in between. Because that's something I see a lot. People will attach their relationship to someone and then God, and then when that person does something that disappoints them, that cuts off the relationship, and then that ultimately does cut off the relationship to God. And we don't want that to happen. But none of it is easy. So a lot of it does come down to personal reflection. What are the issues that we make? And what are the issues that some of our friends might be making? Now, obviously, we can't be too judgmental. We can't be condescending to people. But it doesn't hurt to talk to them. Of course not. It doesn't hurt to sit down and be like, hey, man, this is an issue you're having. Let's talk about it. Hopefully, they get themselves in order. Because Lord knows that I still have issues that I'm dealing with. Lord knows I'm still going to have my struggles. I'm going to struggle with stuff until the day He calls me home. And that's both hard to accept and think about. But we can do the best we can because God is both bigger and greater than our problems. Anyways, I'm going to call it for the night. I still got to eat supper. It's getting late, at least late for me because, got to be up at 5 in the morning. But anyways, I'm going to call it, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.